One. Check, check.
Check one, check, check. Hey, everybody, guess what? We're a little late, but you know what? We're allowed to be late because it's my show and we'll come on whenever the hell I want. But we're here, and that's all that matters because we are both today. It's official showing up day.
It
It's
is
ten
Tuesday day.
ten showing up day. And I can't be showing up without this person because it's her day. It's her day to really truly show up. She's here, she's back for I think we just discovered the third time in like 10 months.
Yes.
And the reason why I keep having her back, not only because she's showing up. Take note, everybody, showing up. It's available today on all platforms. Go get it, buy it, download it. Don't just stream it, buy it and download it. But in my honest to God opinion, this person, who I'm going to introduce in a second, is one of the most hardest working people I've ever witnessed, as well as one of the most entertaining people on social media that I truly love to watch. And now she's back again on the show, and we're going to talk all about her new album, her new music. We've been waiting 10 months to do this. The one, the only, the Queen of the Blue, with all the feedback,
Yes.
Alyssa, Alyssa Jacey. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good. It's just been nonstop button adjusting, pressing, and guitar strumming, and guitar and computer lighting things, and just making sure everything was good to go. And yes, but thank you for having me back for the third time. I just want to make sure that it's projected, and I hope that people can hear you. This laptop's pretty quiet, so I'll just move you a little closer and see what kind of noise I can get coming from you.
Now, I'm a little disappointed, I'm going to say, because you're not on the treadmill.
I'm not. I needed a break. I'm on the treadmill all the time.
After watching you on social media doing all this work on the treadmill, I feel like I need to get a treadmill in my house to help me work even harder.
If I mean you're probably just saying that just to make me feel better, or just to. It's so easy. I'm not like sprinting every day. It's not like I'm walking uphill at a 40-mile-an-hour pace. I'm just 1.1 is the pace that I set myself at, and probably around like a 5 or 6 degree out of 12, and just slowly walk while I get all my stuff done. And it just happens to work well as opposed to just sitting. Because as you get older, and you know this, when you get into your 40s, you learn all kinds of new things, like, oh, your bones become brittle, and then your memory goes away, and you can't see, and all of a sudden you're dead. So you might as well just walk on the treadmill and try to save yourself.
I'll tell you what, it's funny because like when I go to the gym and then I'm on the treadmill, I think to myself, how the hell does she do it? Like I have problems just trying to walk on the treadmill, let alone walk and have a laptop. And you're like editing videos. It's not like you're just like watching Netflix on the. You're working and you're editing stuff. Like it's that's a trait.
I'm going to attest that to two things. One, I've always been a multitasker. I have to be doing 6 or 7 things at once. But also, when you're in this industry and you don't have a team, if you don't get all of these things done, they're not going to get done, which means the next step's not going to happen, which means the album's not going to come out, which means I'm not going to talk to you, which means I'm not going to have a show promoting it, which means, and so you kind of have to force yourself to get all these things done. And there's only so many hours in a day, and you might as well combine some of those things. And really, don't give me that much credit because I'm just walking.
Just walking, but it is multitasking, like you said. It truly is.
And for those of you who don't know, I do this thing called I was doing this thing called the treadmill tips, where I would walk on a treadmill and then like give you inspirational tips while I was doing it. Or I stopped that quite a while ago, but like they were saying, I have a laptop up there, and for when I headlined, my first local headlining show, local meaning 3 hours away, happened in August. And
Okay.
I was practicing so much because I don't typically play electric guitar. Can you see this? Yeah. So I had that plugged in right next to my treadmill, and I was actually singing and playing guitar as I was walking, just to make sure that I could practice.
That's I mean, that's even taken it a step further than walking back and forth the aisle on an airplane and playing.
That's yeah, that takes a lot of like it's like this kind of move where you're walking and you go, I don't want to smack you in the face, so I'm gonna try to be as like little as possible as I squeeze by you, and then here I'm like but yeah. Yep, singing on airplanes, singing on treadmills, sung on a boat, sang on an ice skating rink. I don't really know how many other things you could sing on.
Yeah, right. You're covering all the bases. Rooftops, I'm sure you've done here in Nashville.
Rooftop? I don't think I've done a rooftop. But then
Uh,
it is Nashville, and I've been here almost 11 years, and there's like a lot of drinking here, so I possibly could have drank on a rooftop. I don't think I have.
I have. I've drank on a rooftop. I haven't played on a rooftop.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah.
So, all right. So I got now for my own personal stuff because I'm like you. I am a person that's involved in all this stuff and working and a self made artist, shall we say, in many different realms. How do you do it all? Like, do you like the night before? Do you put a list together? When you wake up, do you put a list together for the day? Like, how does Alyssa do it? Because I love to know from all these people, like, what's your secret? Because I need help. I need help in the secrets to get stuff done.
I wouldn't necessarily take the way that I do it as a way to do it or a secret. It's a lot of it is memorization. I like to put pressure on myself and say, okay, these are all the things you have to do tomorrow. Don't forget. I also do write them down, but I often don't check the list that I wrote them down on. So I might have this list of 40, 50, 60 things. And unless there's something that's super important that I better not forget, which I would leave an alarm on my phone for, as well as writing it down,
Mm.
I just remember. But because of what has gone on the last 3 years, I'm sure we'll get into all that stuff. I feel like I've lost a lot of those pieces of my memory, and call it what I went through, call it age, call it just having brain overload. But I do forget a lot of things, and I somehow end up always getting them done. But the big message I'd really love to get across on this topic to everyone is that it's just okay. If something doesn't get done, you're the one who's putting the timeline on yourself. And take a step back and just realize that if you're your own boss, it's all right. And even if you weren't your own boss, okay, what are you gonna lose a limb because you didn't have a lyric written or that video put out at 9:01 a.m. when all your followers are online on a Tuesday? Like, who cares? Just relax. If you get most of it done on a regular basis, you're doing great. Remind yourself of that. There's a lot to do when you're an indie artist.
I think that's like such a huge message right there because um, I learned like I went to therapy for like 10 years. So I learned the one thing that my therapist told me was actually like goals. Don't set goals for yourself because if you don't reach them, you're going to beat yourself up and it's going to prevent you from reaching other things in life. So I was like, wow. And that's kind of the same thing. Like, even if we make a to-do list, even if you don't get it all done, it doesn't need to be done then.
Right.
So don't beat yourself up because there's going to be tomorrow or the next day to accomplish those to-do lists.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't necessarily agree with the not making goals list because I think if you're aspiring to be or do something, goals are really important. And you want to be encouraging of yourself to reach those. So, but the last thing that you just said, like, okay, if you can write your what word did you say? You didn't say goal. You said like your to-do list down.
To-do list, yes.
And reach those when you can, and if you can't, then reach them tomorrow or the next day. Like, give yourself a little bit of grace.
Yeah, I think we all need to learn to be a little forgiving in ourselves and stop beating ourselves up.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm super guilty of that. I beat myself up all the time. Like I don't like to be late, and I was like 4 minutes late today, or 6 minutes late, or something. I hate that. I hate that. So, very, very grateful that you are forgiving in that way.
Believe me, I've had some interesting lateness and late stories, and yeah, so it doesn't bother me in the least. And hey, it happens. Whatever.
I couldn't believe how fast last night went because remember it was 10:30 when I was texting my mom. And I'm like, oh, another hour and a half until my album drops. What am I going to do? And of course I have this list of like, well, you can start making the next week's promo for it. You can start, organizing that one closet you've been like in a fight with since you moved. You can do all kinds of things, but instead, I said, "You owe yourself. You owe yourself a Netflix and a half right now, so I can just chill." And yeah, I did.
So you took the chill road. I was going to say, so did you take? I know you've been talking a lot on social media about being the happy homeowner who's been doing a lot of work around the home, or doing the promo for the album that was dropping in 90 minutes, and you went neither. You went down the middle and chose Netflix.
I did because I had already done as much as I could do that would equate to, okay, this is enough for the release, and then take a break. And I did. It was probably about an hour that I took. And then I dove right back into whether it was, I think I juggled between homeownering. I call it homeownering and stuff for the album.
So what is it like? Just that though, like the night before this big release. I mean, and let's face it, like the last 10 months that you've come into my life and we've talked in a couple interviews and all, I know truly how much, and we're going to get into how much this album is, how important this album is to you personally. I'm going to say right now, this is probably one of the most personal albums ever written. This was a deep diving album, and the night before an album like that, I mean, are you nervous, or are you like freaking out, or what's going through your head?
5 of the singles out of the 11 had already been released, and I had already given quite a lot of sneak peeks to the 6th track, which was going to be a single, the duet, and then I decided to pull that back from being a single and wait till the album. So I told, this is only going to be an 11-song album as opposed to 22, so let's just keep that as a part of the record, and I'll keep these 5 singles. And the scariest moment that I had was the weeks prior and the month prior to releasing Man of God. That was the most anxiety-ridden. Those were the most anxiety-ridden hours, minutes, because you're told by law there's certain things that you can and cannot say about certain situations. And I have always been a writer that speaks the truth, and I tell about my life, which is why I always say I don't write in one genre. I don't write about one topic. You want to know like anything about me, just go through my music and you'll know my life story. But this in particular, that you asked me if I was worried about the album dropping the night before, anxiety. Not at all. It was like more hyper excitedness. Finally, I've been working on this album for a good year, and I can't wait for this because See Me Cry started like a year and a half prior to that, and everything else started 10 months or so before that. So, after that. So no anxiety for any other reason or any other song outside of excitedness. And then it was Man of God that really made me go like, people are gonna know what happened in my marriage. And I feel confident releasing this because Carly Pierce did it. And if Carly Pierce can be so vulnerable and so honest and raw and truthful with her fans, why shouldn't I? And I have reached that point in my music career where it's like, I don't want to say like F it, but I really want people to know everything. And I like, if you want to keep following me after I tell you the absolute truth, great. If you don't want to follow me anymore because I told you the absolute truth, then don't follow me. It's just, that's kind of the point where I've gotten to, and I just pray that you love the music as much as I do. And I'm starting to get messages today about what the fan favorites are so far. I'm just like, I just can't wait to hear more of these. I want to know, who loves what, like who do you not like and why. And it's so new, and it just was born a few hours ago.
Well, since you went there already, I mean, let's go there with Man of God. Wow, seriously, like when the first time I listened to it, and I like really listened, I was just like, wow, that's all I could say. And then I was like, she went there, she didn't hold back, she exactly what you said. I'm like, this girl opened her heart, told the truth, poured it out, and like, come on, like that straight up, that took balls to do, because you gave people a look into something that you went through, and I'm sure millions of others have gone through, and it's not a pretty situation. It turned out to be a pretty song, but
Well, the
wow.
situation post has been pretty as well. Like the glory that has come being out of that has been pretty phenomenal also. But yes, that was not a pretty situation.
Did with a song like that, I mean, did you I mean, did you fight with yourself, like, do I really want to do this, do I really want to go there? Because I mean, that's probably one of the most open songs I've ever heard.
With that song and the rap on See Me Cry, those were the two that I battled with, because the rap on See Me Cry has 10, how do I word this without just saying it? There are 10, we'll just say, hidden innuendos, 10 things that I talk about that if you know the person, even in the slightest, no one's really going to know exactly. If you know this person inside and out, unless you've dated this person or you're in this person's family and you grew up with them, there are things that I say in that rap that are like no one would know unless he divulged them to you, except for one main thing, which is I quote the title of his most popular song. So once people hear that, they're like, "Oh, okay. I wonder like how much more of this is about him." But and that whole song was really that and Choosing Boys were catalysts for the theme of this album: the empowerment of finding yourself again, the awareness of red flags, the never going backwards, the loving yourself, self-care. And so when I wrote See Me Cry, I did rewrite that rap about 6, 7, or 8 times because I just didn't know if it was smart to really give all of that.
Right.
But I was listening to the wrong feedback. I went to the wrong person about it who loves and cares about me, but they suggested, maybe you don't say all those things about him. I'm like, dude, no one's gonna know unless they know him and they know that his freaking favorite movie is Aladdin. They're not gonna know Prince Jafar. Like, it's about his favorite Disney movie or his favorite Disney movie is Aladdin. So, no one's gonna know that. And then when it came to Man of God, it was such an easy and difficult song to write. At the moment, I think I was writing downstairs when I wrote that song. Usually I write a lot of music in my nook upstairs on my Taylor guitar, but you can't see this either. This is my Martin, and I love you when you're my live guitar. So, and a lot of songs I've written on YouTube, but there was no holding back. And there are 2 versions of Man of God, and I brought them to my co-producer, Logan Piercy, and I played them both for him. He's like, I can't tell which one I like more. Because both say everything we need to say. How about we make it a 6-minute song? And I'm like, no, I couldn't again. And it was a tough call to decide on the final lyric, but I think I've certainly made the right decision, and there's no looking back. And I have only had, and from women alike, from men and women alike, I have only had just unrealistically to me beautiful just sentiments about it and how I've inspired people and this is real. Someone commented after I posted the first story about me in a recording booth about it, and they're like, this is exactly why I have hated country music for so long, because it hasn't been like this. But thanks to you and thanks to this song and your openness and raw and vulnerability, I now am going to start listening to country music more again, and I love this song, and I can't wait to hear the full recording of it. And that's not why I do what I do, but that's like such a beautiful reminder of why I do what I do.
Well, do you consider yourself a country music artist? I mean, because I don't. I mean, with this album especially, I mean, you cover all bases. I mean, you're pop, yes, you're country. You threw reggae in there. You got hip hop. There's even like some easy listening type music, like, and some songs just combine it all into one.
Yeah.
Like, I think I don't even know. I guess it's just you're an amazing musician. Like, I don't know if there's a genre to just you're a musical artist.
Blue music is what I call it.
There you go.
No, I don't call it. I don't. Thank you for saying that. That's really cool, because from the beginning of my career, the highest of the higher ups have always been saying, pick a path. Are you country or are you not? Are you
Right.
blues? Are you not? Are you pop? Are you not? And I think overall the blanket, Alyssa, Jacey, like if I had to pick one thing, it's pop. But so many people call me a country artist or a pop country artist. I think a lot of it are the undereducated listeners, and I don't mean that in an insulting way. I mean that as people go,
Sure.
oh, you're in Nashville, that must mean that you do this. And so if they listen a little bit more and they could dive further back deep into my repertoire, they would hear that for my entirety of my career, it's been all over the map. And yeah, On the Spot, the album On the Spot from 2012, that's super pop country. Tons of country songs on there, but that's not the only album I've ever released. This is number 10, and I've written over 400 songs, and I've been playing over 4,000 shows. So if you watch some live videos on YouTube, or if you watch my live streams a couple times during the week, Wednesday, Friday, I stream live, and come see a show and you'll hear it's eclectic. And I'm proud of that, but it's not something I set out to do. It's just something that always came naturally for me. And I got an offer to sign with probably one of the biggest management companies and labels ever, like several years ago. But they asked me to pick a lane, and if that lane were country, they would sign me, and I said no.
Wow. That's so tough, and it's like the benefits of being that independent artist is just that you can have that creative control, and you can just from your heart what you're feeling and want to express, and then so many artists then have that option where you're given that choice, and so many take it and end up being just miserable and locked in and can't escape.
Yeah. I know, and I don't want to do that. I've never wanted to do that. I've heard horror stories of people who are like, man, I was this soul artist, I was this blues artist, and then I was approached because someone heard this version of my, Ain't No Sunshine or whatever, and I made it country just for fun, and then all of a sudden they're like, ooh, country artist, sign with me, and they're like, okay, I guess I'll sell my soul, and then they're stuck, on their records are on the shelves, they're not touring, and they're not doing much, and
Right.
I want to be that person, and I never set out to be a famous artist anyway. If it happens, I guess good. Like if it's supposed to happen, great. If it's supposed to happen, great. I don't want to be famous though. I just want my music to be heard and loved. Like That's just as simple as it gets. And ultimate goal, as you still already know, I want my music on TV and film. I want you to turn on your favorite Netflix show or hear me on a commercial or anything like that movie, and there's my opening credits song. There's my closing credits song. That would be awesome.
I could see that. I could see that happening. I can.
Well, I'm not going to stop until it does.
So, all right. So this album showing up, like we talked about, it deep, very, very deep, open book. You went there. Was this basically your therapy session?
No, yes and no, because I'm still in therapy. I haven't stopped going to therapy since I started going to therapy when, like, right as I got engaged, and I haven't stopped. So I've been in therapy for 4 years, and I still have a lot of work to do. Like, she told me about 6 months ago I didn't need her anymore. She's like, "You're good now. I love you, but you're good on your own." But I still feel like I need some work, so I'm gonna stay in therapy. But songwriting has always been my therapy, and performing in front of people has always been my therapy. And being able to just look people in the eye and look at you, and chat in the chat room with everyone, and just kind of, I'm not a millennial, but I think this is a millennial word, vibe with everybody. That's important to me. To be able to do that and connect is important to me. I like to connect deeper than just oh, you've done that, me too. Oh, you've experienced that, me too. I'm more like person to person when I connect.
So, with the whole writing process, now there's 11 songs on the album.
Yes.
You already mentioned there was 22 that you wanted to put on. How much did you actually write for this album?
So there was no for this album. It just happened to be that I had 40 songs that I really liked, that I had written over the last maybe like 5 years, 4 years maybe. I don't know how long, 3 years even. And I'm like, man, I want this song and this song and this song and this song. I want all this recorded. And I have, you know, bigger eyes than my stomach. So I went through these 40 and I picked 22. And I did my absolute best to crowdfund, because outside of my album from 2010, Years to Change, now people are like, if you've had 10 albums released, how come I can't find all 10? Well, I've taken down a lot of them. You have to go on my website, alyssajacey.com. That's where you'll see the stuff that you can't find on Apple Music and you can't find on Alexa or Pandora or whatever. Here's the Change was my first full-length album that came out in 2010, and that was self-funded, and I Want It to Rain, the single in 2014, and the music video for that. Those were crowdfunded, and all the rest of my albums were crowdfunded, and so I have not had a crowdfunded album yet, and I was determined for these 22 songs that I was going to raise. And I like alliteration, I like numbers matching, and so I was like, 22 songs in 2022, $22,222.22, and that will cover the recording process. Because if you're lucky, and I'm saying lucky lightly, you will find an engineer, a producer, other musicians, as well as yourself, that you can record a song for $1,000. That's not typical. 1,500 to 2,000 plus. I mean, far more likely that it'll cost you $2,000 plus to record one song, and that's not including mixing. That's not including mastering. That's not including the artwork afterwards. It's not including any promotion. And as my GoFundMe went on, I recognized and realized that I was not going to hit that goal, so I had to knock my 22 down to 11. And there were 3 songs that didn't make the cut that I really wish would have. 2 would have made sense, 1 wouldn't have. But had I hit just a tiny baby bit higher of a goal, there's a song called The Vibe that you can hear whenever I stream live or come to a live show, and people are just like, "When are you recording that?" And I really wish I could have. I'm sorry, and maybe in a year or two or something, we can raise that and we can put out The Vibe. I stream on TikTok or play on Facebook, and stage it. The Vibe would have been amazing. Um, the other song that I wish would have been on there was, I'm blanking on it right now. Not When You Were Here, but you remember that other song I told you about? I'm blanking on it right now. You know. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of it? Oh, okay. Well, whatever. The Vibe, Something Else, and When You Were Here. And those two, the first two ones would have been made sense. But When You Were Here is so beautiful and so special and so sentimental, bittersweet. It's about, I co-wrote it with two other people, and I had my parents in mind, which thankfully and luckily they're both still around. But so many of us walk around this earth thinking that we're all going to live forever, and so are our parents and everyone we love. But the freaking truth is that that's just not going to happen. And if you wait too long to tell the person that you love them and you want to be with them forever, if it's a romantic person or that maybe you've had an argument with your prospective partner or your family or something, and you need to tell them that you care about them and you love them, and not wait until it's too late, or else you're going to have a song called When You Were Here. I wish I would have said all these things when you were here. So Gold is the other song. Gold was the Paramore song. I have this really, I don't want to name drop, but this drummer has toured with every 90s, 2000 and current rock band and pop rock band. You think Paramore, it's oh my god, these drums were I just wanted the drums on the album. Honestly, I would have just killed the drums. So if Gold would have made sense, The Vibe would have made sense. When You Were Here wouldn't have, but if I could have, I would have put 3 more on there, but I didn't. But the 11 that are picked, so proud, so thankful, and every single person who started from the get-go back in March when I started my GoFundMe, who contributed to it, and it doesn't have to be financially. If you contributed via giving me this outlet to speak to people and talk about the album, that's a contribution. If you're sharing my posts, that's a contribution. It doesn't necessarily mean give me money and then you win. No, it's sharing, commenting, and liking, and reposting, and all that stuff. So there's just no way I would not. I just wouldn't have been able to do any of this without any of you included.
Well, how? I mean, that's got to be the tough decision too. When you got to start trimming down, and you had to cut from half from the 22 that you really wanted to down. Are you going to other people to get opinions? Are you just strictly making decisions yourself? Are you I mean, it's got to be it's a fight and struggle with yourself at the end of the day, of course.
The easiest way to tell if a song is successful is to play it at shows. So
okay.
For the last year, I've been playing most of these songs live, and I have been watching the feedback from my live performances.
Interesting. Okay.
Or if not in person, on stage it. And it's just as easy as Drowning Me has been this.
Okay.
Man of God, man of God, man of God, man of God, choosing voice, choosing voice, choosing voice, choosing voice, shalala, shalala, shalala. It's just all these were so obvious for people are like, you must, and well, actually, I only have to work hard for those. and I wrote I Want It to Rain in 2014, but I chose when I wrote I Want It to Rain as a blues version, and I've been told from the beginning, the get-go, that people wanted the blues version. So now we have the pop version that was released, back in 2014 or 15, whatever that was, 2015. But now we finally, as of today, have the blues version. And the guy who mastered it, he's like, this gives me Chris Stapleton vibes. And I'm like, I will have you know that I did this song in 2014 before Tennessee Whiskey came out. Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
I'm right here. My battery lost its juice, so I'm just plugging in my little power cord here so I don't lose you, and then I'm back. So don't worry, I'm here. Okay.
So not only with this whole writing process, but like you said, the crowdfunding, the GoFundMe and all that, I mean, that in itself becomes a full-time job. And then you came up with a little spin on things for the month of September.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Sports Bra September.
September Sports Bra Sessions. Yes.
Which ended up putting you over the hump.
Yes. So I was at 7,300 or like 7,000 something, and I just wanted to hit the 11,000 mark, and it didn't look like I was going to do that. And if I wanted to hit 11,000 songs, I needed to at least make up 11,000 for the recording part, and then I could pay out of pocket, which is very difficult coming out of a pandemic and a divorce and trying to be a full-time musician. And I took a little pause on my acting auditions, and I didn't have my artist development clients because they had lost money, and I hadn't started teaching vocal lessons until a month ago and 2 months ago. And so if I could just reach that, and I am one of those people where I don't know where it comes from, the last minute, like fight or flight kind of attitude. It was the day before September 1st where I was like, what if I do this cool thing? Because I'm always in a sports bra throughout the day. I'm always on my treadmill, as you know. What if I did something called September Sports Bra Sessions, where I'm like, I'm going to work out before or after, and just have this alliteration, September Sports Bra Sessions, on stage it, and tell my fans I absolutely have to raise $4,000 in 30 days so I can release this album. And we did it. Like, we did it. It was amazing. It was incredible. And again, like I said, couldn't have done it without y'all.
Do you now something I've been starting to dive into and experiment with and working on is manifesting.
Yes.
Do you think that was your way of I can't even say the word. Manifestation? There we go.
1 billion % yes. I am absolutely someone who manifests. I manifest on almost a daily basis. And like right now, I'm going to try to manifest this live video starting again on I'll have to complete you. Okay, that's gonna take a while. I have a lot of manifestations. Like on Tuesday, if we have time to talk about what happened on Tuesday, it blew my own mind. So hopefully it would blow people's minds if they want to.
Well, blow, I want to know. You can't tease like that and just say, come on, blow my mind, please. I'm dying to know now.
Okay. All right. So it was, let me set the scene. It was February 2020.
Okay.
And I was snowed in. And I had this playlist going on Apple Music. That's how I stream all my stuff. Sorry, guys. Like, Apple Music's my thing. And this song comes on by a voice I didn't recognize. And the song was called Another. And the artist was named Adam Doliak.
Okay.
And I was like, what is this? This is like, it's just his voice, and you can feel his just like pure love for the person he was singing the song for. And I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't look him up. I just listened to the song, and I listened to it over and over and over again. It might have been several months, and I'm not even gonna lie, possibly a year before I looked up what he even looked like. I just was into his song, and I started listening to his music. Because my brother was like, well, did you think he was hot and that's why you followed him or something? I'm like, no, I don't. I promise you, I'm one of those people who I'm not a super fan. I don't follow a lot of people in that way. If you have music, I'm going to follow your music and I'm going to support your music, but I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I have to know everything you're doing at every single time. I'm like, what are you wearing and drinking? Where are your sunglasses from? Is that your fiance? Like, I don't care. Just want the music, and I want to be inspired by it. So Another by Adam Doliak came on in February 2020, and I had been following him ever since. And I started just I found myself on his Instagram kind of more often. He'd pop up on my feed more often. And possibly 3 weeks before his show at the Basement East here in Nashville, he posted on his Instagram Live, I'm headlining my first hometown show, the Basement East. Tickets are on sale now. And I'm like, Alyssa, you need to go to this. Go to any length. These tickets. And then, because I have a leak in my house, an 11-song album coming out, all of which I'm in charge for, and I'm doing interviews, and I'm doing vocal lessons, and I'm choreographing for people's music videos, and I'm on my treadmill, and I'm just social mediating and doing all the promotion and all the editing on making all the artwork for the album. Like, I forgot to get tickets. And so it's the night before, it's a Monday night, Monday, October 3rd. And I'm about to go online on Basement East to see if there are tickets left. And then I checked his Instagram first to see if anything had changed. And he posted, sorry, y'all, Basement's sold out. And I'm like, okay, I'm Alyssa Jacey. I know how to make this shit work.
I love it.
What am I gonna do? And in the moment, I had construction workers at my house, people walking all over, painting stuff, knocking stuff out. Like, I couldn't leave my house, and so I immediately had texted him, or not texted. I had tagged him on Instagram, and I was like, please tell me there's another way for me to get these tickets. Tell me the Basement East has one more. Like, they've got to have one more. There's just one more. And he wrote me back directly, and he was like, I'm going to be hiding 2 tickets around Basement East later this afternoon. And I was like, yes! But how do I get there? And so I'm stalking his page at this point while I'm on my treadmill, promoting, construction talking, people doing things, and I'm like multitasking. And I have a friend of mine who's like, you should come out to the local tonight. I'm like, not a chance. This direction I'm supposed to go to, but like, maybe if I can. So everyone leaves my house. I write Adam again on Instagram, and I was like, getting in the shower, not drying my hair, sitting in traffic. I'm coming. Don't let anyone take those tickets. I'm on my way. And this is like at 5-something in the afternoon. His concert starts at 7. I'm in Donaldson. I'm by the airport, right? So it's like a 20-minute drive, no traffic, to East Nashville. So I'm 30-something minutes away. Like, I can do it. I'm going to do it. Manifesting, because you asked, do I manifest? Fuck yeah, I manifest. So I pull into the parking lot, and I'm out of my car, and I'm in that particular day, I'm wearing something this short. Like I don't know if you see this or not, but I had like a short outfit on, and I had like maybe I don't like to show more than one female body part at a time, so I don't usually show legs and cleavage. But in the moment, I had like a little bit of cleavage stuff on, and I'm like, and I had heels, and I was like, I don't want to be that person who's diving under cones looking if these were hidden, but I'm going to because I'm going to stop at nothing to buy these tickets. And I was out of my car for no longer than 1 minute before the balcony of 8 men, which I thought it was his band, were kind of like looking down. They weren't staring at me, but they're just kind of looking around, and I just already felt nervous. And one of them goes, "Hey, Blue," and I go, "Yes," and I'm like, "Here," and I walk around. And here's this one little spot you can walk up onto the patio. It has a gigantic sign that says VIP and guest list only. And I'm like, and I have all these other people, but the guy that knows me is looking at me. But all the people are like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "May I approach the bench?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." So I kind of slowly walk up these steps and I talk to him. And he's like, "Hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you forever." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's been like 6 months. I met this person one time." He's my really good friend and my bassist is Chase Rice's bassist. So I don't know if anyone, do you know who Chase Rice is?
No.
He's doing well. He's headlining all over the nation, doing his own stuff. I opened for him probably like 9 years ago here in town a couple times, and so his bassist is this like 6'4" Brazilian, like everyone knows who Marcelo is guy, and he had a 40th birthday early in the year. And I met the front of house lighting guy for all of Chase Rice's guys were at his 40th birthday. Well, this guy I met one time, and he's standing over here, and he's like, "Yeah, come up here." And so then I get approached by security, and they're like, "Sorry, hi, are you on the guest list?" And right without, I didn't have to say anything. Zach goes, "She's with me. She's my +1." Didn't have to look for tickets. Guest bracelet slapped on my wrist. I get a vineyard placed around my neck that says Adam Doliak VIP. I got to sit next to the sound booth and the sound guys the entire time. To my left was a man who was standing like this the entire time, which I'm pretty sure I thought I recognized. And I look over and I'll tell you about that in a second. And I look over my shoulder. I hear a voice that I thought I recognized. It's Patrick Clifford, who used to work for Disney, and I had known him for 10 years. Like, "Man, I haven't seen you in forever." So I turn around, shake his hand. Next thing I know, he's talking to this guy, he's talking to that guy. I'm like, "Oh, you guys all know each other? Who are you? Who are you?" "Oh, we're Adam Doliak's agency. We just signed him." And so I'm surrounded by agents and like Adam Doliak, the dude who I have been I hate the word fan, super fan of for a while. And I got into the show without even just like the little tiniest hinge.
That's crazy. That's an amazing story.
But I manifested that.
Totally.
I'm wet hair in the car. Don't care if there's traffic. I don't care how long it takes me. I don't care if I have to pull tickets out of someone's hand. Like, I will do it. I'm here. I have to see this guy play. And I did.
That's amazing.
So manifest. You don't think it works, but it does. If you believe in if you really, 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 really want something, you can get it. But it has to come from a genuine place. Yes. Remember that last part that I said. It has to come from a genuine place, or else it's not going to happen. Hi, TikTok. Thank you for watching me. Hello, everybody.
That is the key. Be genuine. Wow. Okay. Now I have an extra lesson in manifesting today.
Okay.
I need that. I might have to check in on it with you tomorrow.
Okay.
If you have any more lessons.
Okay. All right.
So before we start diving into some of the songs, let's touch for people who don't know this. Okay. Obviously, you have a fascination with the color blue.
Yes, I do.
You have the blue crew, and you are always wearing some type of blue. And even now, for the people that follow her on social media, if you're not, you should be. You can also see she's added blue to her car now. Her brand new car that she busted her ass for and manifested as well.
Yes.
So, how did the blue thing come into your world, and is there like a true symbolic meaning behind it, or?
As I touch my blue foot tambourine, yeah. Yes, that was something that started. I don't want to say anything by accident, so I didn't know. There's a lot of okay. This year has been a year of teaching me that you don't know what the answer is or like why things are happening at the time, but later on you will. And that's why I trust so much now in like divine timing and divine intervention and like timing is everything and there's a reason for everything. So this is a really great story of just falling in love with the color when I was 16. I just did. I fell in love with looking at it on people. I love wearing it. It makes me happy. I love trying to fight people who think it's like, oh, blue is a sad color. And I was like, no, it's awesome. I mean, for me it is. It's okay if it makes you sad, but for me it's so different. It's always been so different. And so from 16 to 25, before I started singing, I just was wearing it a lot. And I was 25 when my grandma passed away from Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. And so coincidentally, the month before that, January of 2005, I had just started singing and recording, really, not really singing in public. And my grandma passed in February that very next month. And so I saw her, I was with her that night, just a couple of hours before she passed. And I said that if I ever get the opportunity to give back to a charity, because I fully believe in, I mean, what is money anyway if you can't do something with it that's good? What's
true?
You're going to just take it with you to the grave. And I feel like humans have a responsibility of doing good. And I want to be one of those humans. So I said if I ever had a chance to give back, I would do that selfishly through wearing blue. So I like in a way it's selfish, but not in the way. So when I started playing live, I started calling my fans the Blue Crew and asking everyone to please bring the crew and wear your blue. And it doesn't matter what shade you wear. It doesn't matter, how much. Well, preferably deck yourself out, but just wear blue to my shows, and I will donate $1 from my ticket sales or a portion of my merchandise sales to the Alzheimer's Association. And I did that starting when I moved to Nashville, which is coming up on 11 years.
Wow. That's amazing. It's not only an amazing, touching story, but it's a great cause to represent.
I mean, I think so. I think I would love to. I don't like to use the word should. So I don't think everyone should have a cause, but I think it'd be really lovely. Like, could you imagine if all of us had one charity, one cause that we cared about to the point where we were doing things like this? Even if it were $1 a month, it's
right.
$6 a month for 11 years, and for the entirety of your ability to do so. It's just important. It's just important.
That's a movement that you now should get everybody to get a cause behind them. Everybody should represent something, some type of cause.
I want, and again, I dislike the fact that my brother works for Tony Robbins because he's the one who's in my brain who's like, don't use the word should or the word should. So I try not to use the word should because I feel like it's I don't want to put pressure on anybody who doesn't want to do that. But I do really believe in if you have ever had your heart melt or broken by a charity, a movement, something that happened, like hurricanes, tornadoes, and cancers, do something about it then. And even if you think it's minimalistic, it's not. Even if it's a freaking penny, even if you do like a penny a day, even if you did a penny a year, that's 365 pennies that they wouldn't have had prior. So pick something that you're passionate about and start doing something about
I love that.
And I will go off on it.
Well, let's start diving into the album.
Sure.
Let me see where I mean I guess we should just start at the beginning with "See Me Cry."
Okay.
I mean, this song it's like this real beautiful song, and then out of nowhere, Alyssa starts spitting rhymes that nobody saw coming. How does that end up as part of the song? How do you start like with the whole little hip hop metamorphosis?
Oh, let me take you back to November of 2005 when Alyssa, what the hell are they called? Third Lindsley here in Nashville were like, we need you to play, and you have 6 songs. Pick set list and figure it out. I'm like, great. I have 1 through 5, and I don't have a closing song. And there I was in my apartment where I lived before here, which was, by the way, 0.03 miles from the tornado in February 2020.
Wow.
Right before, like right as, I guess, COVID was beginning to attack. And it hit just a street away from me, and I had just moved. I needed a closing song, and I'm just up pacing my hallways. What are you gonna do? And like, I'm a very, if you haven't guessed already, folks, I'm a pretty positive person. Like, I'm a happy person, and I like to leave positive messages, especially for the last song. I would love to inspire. Like, that's my point. That's my purpose. That's why I was born. Mom and Dad birthed me to inspire you, whether it's to wear more blue or to help the Alzheimer's Association or to assist in indie artist careers or whatever it is. So I remember pacing my hallway, and then all of a sudden this time, it's just like. This is the bright side. We all get one life, so I'm gonna make it the best it can be. We're on a timeline. It goes by, runs out eventually. And then I just started, this is the da ba da da ba da ba da ba da da, and I just started and like rap. I'm like, yes! And like love is all you need. And then Love Is All You Need was born probably like 30 minutes to an hour. And I'm like, what a closing song. I finally have a closing song after all these years. And I'm like, man, rapping is fun. And being a hip hop dancer, I've been, around rap for many, many years. And I've always, like, I can rap Snoop, I can rap Dr. Dre, I can rap Ludacris. I do love rap. Not the whole, like, I'm allowed to cuss on this, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Not like bitches and hoes and like gold chains and I don't know, other things that are not appropriate. Not that kind of rap, but like Ed Sheeran meets Jason Mraz meets like a little bit of, Spitfire. So once I wrote that song and it became so popular so quickly, like Drowning Me did, wow. And then there's no other, you don't see any other female artists. You don't here in Nashville, at least. You don't see any of us doing what I'm doing, combining reggae and pop, or like reggae and rap, or pop and rap, or blues and rap, or country and rap, and it just comes out of nowhere. And the fun, it's so fun after live shows to get approached afterward and hear exactly the tone and the words that you just said, which is like, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she starts rapping. Like, the headlining shows I had mentioned earlier when I was headlining in Pigeon Forge with Listening Room, there was an 80-something-year-old woman in the front, and then maybe like a late 70s woman with her. And I was like, hey, I don't know what kind of music y'all are into. Like, I'm like, oh, you're doing great. We love your stuff. I'm like, yeah, well, you might not at this point because I'm about to rap. And one of them would go, nah. Like, she went, nah. I'm like, okay, give me a chance. And I think Sha La La Love was the first song that I did in front of them. And then I did, of course, Love Is All You Need. And I did one other one that I had rap on. And then afterward, they both came up to me. Oh my God, I'll never forget this. And they're like, that was the most beautiful rap I've ever heard. I'm not used to rap like that. I loved it. And I'm like, yes, maybe I can make a difference in rap, because rap is beautiful in so many different ways. It can be hardcore and badass and awesome and cutthroat, and it can be somewhere in the middle, and then there can be me and like maybe another version. But to hear these like 70, 80-plus-year-olds truly enjoy my rapping, like, I'm allowed to be proud of myself, I think, at that.
Absolutely. You earned it.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, and See Me Cry is so I thought Love Is All You Need had the fastest rap. No. See Me Cry has what I would call from San Diego, the gnarliest rap I have ever written. It is a mouthful, and it takes so much breath, and it took me like a year and a half to get used to where to take my breaths where I could actually say the rap without it. And yeah, so that's where the rap came from, I guess. If that's what I think you asked 90 minutes ago.
That's awesome. The next song, which will always be one of my personal favorites because you performed it live for us, I think the first time you came on the show, Choosing Boys. Such a great song. Like this song to me is like a summertime pop anthem for girls.
Well, it happened to be written in the late spring.
There you go. Like I picture like the top down on a car and girls singing this song, heading to the beach.
I would love that. So tell me why you think that, and then I will comment on it. And I also am out of water. Am I allowed to go?
You are absolutely allowed.
While I go refill my water.
Go refill your water. Go ahead.
And also, my phone's about to die too. Did I not prepare for this at all? Like, I have no battery in anything and no water anymore. But let me see how I can. But yes, please carry on. I'll be right back.
It's a song that it just like certain songs, like visions come into your head, and that one, it has the vibe and feel of a summertime song. The lyrics most definitely is like that girls' anthem that you can picture them singing along to, because and probably I'm sure guys could sing it as well. It's an anthem. It really is in a pop version.
In here, but yes, I'm here. I actually heard none of that. I heard.
So do you? I get, like, when I listen to songs, like sometimes I'll get visions in my head or just the vibes and all, and that I get the total vision and vibe. First off, summertime. It's just a summertime song, and I'm just like, I picture It's almost like I'm picturing like a video in my head of like girls in a convertible going to the beach, like I said, or somewhere to the mall, whatever, and they're going out to the club or anywhere, and they're singing this song because they're all how many girls have chosen boys over the men,
Yeah.
and they didn't realize it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you like to know about that song exactly?
Well, is that more of a life story or a recent story?
Okay. That's a life admission. That's definitely an admission of choosing boys over men my entire life. I have, as you have clearly seen that I have no shame, and I don't mind making fun of myself. I don't mind whatsoever telling the truth about my life and diving into my personal life, and because I am a human, and I believe that there are a lot of us that are like me out there. So that is an admission of full blown, um, yeah, choosing boys and ignoring red flags and just like going with the flow, like, oh, you know what, it's gonna be fine. I can ignore the fact that they're complete alcoholics. I can ignore the fact that they treat me like crap. I can ignore this because they're gonna change. They promise they're gonna change, and then they never do. And it was again props to Carly Pierce because I really don't know if I would have. It's for sure, Man of God, I would never have released if it weren't for her 29 EP, and then 29 EP, 29 Written in Stone. And then Choosing Boys, that was such a big month for me. It was April of 2021 when I was in Hawaii, and I wrote Choosing Boys on the front, not necessarily in patio, like a front yard of my friend's house in Hawaii, and I wrote 5 songs on that tour.
Wow.
And yeah, and Choosing Boys was one of them. A handful of songs that didn't get chosen for the album were written then. And there is also the song. So Choosing Boys and What Are We Doing were written on that tour, and they're both on this album. But yeah, that particular song, I think that it's important for people to know that we all make mistakes and we all have chosen girls, boys, like the younger, people that are not right for us. And what's important is that we learn from that. And I had never learned from that. I've always been that person of like, oh, I'll mess up and I'm just gonna do it again and like see what happens. And now after therapy and after going through a divorce and really changing a lot of my mentality and like how I look at people and how I look at my life and myself, that's just not gonna happen anymore. So I think that's why I start the album off with those 2 songs, "See Me Cry" and "Choosing Boys." That's important, and for me, it's important to start off with "See Me Cry" and then track 2, "Choosing Boys," to just like you in the face and lyrically and musically, and that story progresses. And this is the first time that I've ever 10 albums took me to figure out the sequence of what makes sense. And I'm in full agreement, and I did this all on my own. I'm very proud of this, that it's very important to have the correct sequence of songs that make sense and that inspire and that move and kind of flow together. And this album does that. I know it does.
I was gonna say, like, you can tell, like, the order you put them in. It's like you were kind of trying to tell the story along the way too.
You can tell that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
That.
So next up is Sha La 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 Love.
Yes.
Which it's one of them. It's just a beautiful song.
Thank you. That's a co-written song. So, what would you like to talk about that one?
Now that one, like,
keep us from dying.
tell us more about that. Like, what's the real thing behind that one? I mean, is that like thinking you're in love?
Oh, well, that's okay. So I, did I do that? Oh, yay! Oh my god, I can't even figure that out. No, that song is. This is kind of like a drowning me situation where everyone hears the song "Drowning Me" and they think it's about a relationship. And to be absolutely honest, "Drowning Me," for those of you who don't know, is still my most streamed, my most popular, downloaded, requested song on um, Apple Music and Spotify and iTunes and all that, and my live shows. And I love that because when I wrote it, I kind of felt that as well. I don't think there's been a song since then that I felt that kind of connection with. Um, but it's about my hometown. It's about San Diego. So when I'm referencing you in Drowning Me, for example, people think, oh, you're talking about you, your boyfriend, your ex, your this. But no, I'm actually talking about San Diego. And you belong in a bottle. You belong at sea. And if I don't leave you now, you're going to end up drowning me. That's San Diego I'm talking about. Like the whole, and not the city necessarily itself. It's just like the people and the situations that I was in, right? Okay, so Shala Love, the night before that was written, I was in a huge fight with my brother, a big, emotional, terrible fight. Like we argue. Everyone argues with their siblings and with their parents, and even with their romantic perspective for romantic people. And but this was different. It was different because we've never gone to the jugular. We've never really hit at each other's hearts the way that we did in this fight. And this fight had pent up aggression that I had no awareness of. I did not know whatsoever that my brother had been holding on to so much animosity towards me for so many years for a certain situation. And it got so explosive that I was, he's screaming, I'm screaming, I'm bawling my eyes out. And I have a co-write the next day with Tolan Shaw, who I co-wrote 3 songs with on this album. He's the one who co-wrote Showing Up with me. He co-wrote Found My Everything with me. He co-wrote Shall Love with me. And I could have canceled on him the next day. But I was like, of all the people to write with, he's got such just laid back vibes. He's so cool. Like this is going to be the right song to flip this negative attitude around with, and let's make this into something that people can learn from. Let's teach people that just because you get into like a fight or a disagreement or something disheartening, that you can turn this into good. So I didn't cancel on him, and he opens the door, and just 3 minutes before my door's right there. So just before he opens the door, 3 minutes before he did, I started immediately writing this one little lick, which you'll hear in the song. And I had the whole pre-chorus written. Well, you'll hear that anyway. But so like, even when you don't believe, you gotta be strong than the weakest link. It's the guarantees about will bring you what you need. Yeah, my philosophy's shotgun strong like people research. And like just kept going through this. And he has written with Jason Mraz. And it just felt so Jason Mraz to me with the like fast stuff. And so he comes over. I'm like black-eyed from staying up all night, bawling my eyes out. And I'm like, if it weren't you, I might have canceled on you. But I know that, like you asked earlier, is music your therapy? A song was this album your therapy? And it was. So within moments, we wrote this song, and Shala Love is about my brother and I. And it can be about it really can be about anything. It can be about a relationship, but if you want like the God's honest truth about, truly what it is, it's about my brothers and my fight, and then us putting a positive spin on it, and hopefully people can learn from that.
That's awesome. And that's again the reality, whether, like you said, whether it's brother and sister, brother, sister, sister, family, friends, lovers, everybody fights. But if you can learn from it, grow from it, and make up from it, it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, and so I hope you listen to that song, because it truly, if you hear that song, you hear that song, you hear "Drowning Me," and you think immediately relationship romantic, but it's not. It's at least that's not where it came from, but it certainly can be from that place. Yes.
Okay, so next up is "Man of God," which we discussed already. The one after that is "Showing Up," Hustle Pie, which with this one, it's a very, very powerful and positive song. And again, the visions that was coming to me with that one is like I'm picturing Alyssa waking up, opening the curtains, and it's a beautiful start to a beautiful, amazing day.
So Tolan and I wrote that together also, and the entire year of 2022, I have been battling with my love for music, and I have announced to the public that this will be my last album, that I'd be taking a break from music, that I would go from playing X number of shows to X number of shows, and just really not quite sure where my path was going to go. And so in that time is when we wrote Showing Up, and even going through, like I mentioned a little bit earlier in this interview, there was just so much that I was going through, because my divorce didn't end until April 13th. So there was a lot of divorce, a lot of house stuff, just family stuff. Like there's a lot. It was just my brother and I. Just all these things happening personally, and friends. I had a best friendship of 17 years all of a sudden just go away, and there are so many terrible things, health things for me, health things for my dad, and then the bomb going off in Nashville and the tornado, and I just wanted to keep showing up, because I wanted to inspire people that you can go through a lot of shit, and it's okay, first of all, if you don't want to show up to that stuff, but it's also okay, and possibly in your best interest to maybe you don't show up at first, but you continue to afterward. And that's what this song is about. So even when you don't want to be like, you gotta keep showing up, I guess, is the whole playlist. You gotta hear it, and it's got this low. I've got to. Sorry, Tolan made this really cool like. It's just that lick. That lick is nowhere else in the world. You don't hear that lick on any song. So if you listen to Showing Up, Hustle Pie, you'll hear this. She has super cool guitar lick, and Tolan did that, and that's why he's amazing. It was so fun. I co-produced every single one of these tracks, so I was very hands-on with all these songs, and I got to decide the tones of the guitars, the style, like which bass we wanted, and which key, obviously, and all the things. Like I've never been so hands-on on an album in my life, and this song was so important to me that it took me until the end of recording to realize that I needed to title the album the same.
That's awesome. Being that you were so hands-on, did you think maybe like was it getting to be too much for you? Like to constantly, because you were already so deep into this personally, and that's even going even more personal with it.
The too much is the constant editing and the constant promotion and the constant making the album artwork and all that stuff. But what fills me and what like really juiced me up, what really filled me was getting creative and getting to choose whether or not I wanted to beatbox on this song, whether I wanted to drum on this song, and whether I wanted to use a yellow sticky notepad for the like little sound part. Like you can, if you really open your ears, if you have a really great set of headphones and you have a really great set of speakers, you can hear some incredible nuances that are going on. And most of those were my decision. Like, yes, I definitely had people like, what do you think of this? So like, I might have had a decision, but I went to, or sorry, an idea. And, what do you think of this? Oh yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, I like that. So it was collective, but it wasn't too much. It was more just like the promotion side of it afterward and like the artwork and stuff that was daunting.
So the next song was a duet
With him.
My Everything.
So it came out wrong. It's actually supposed to be called Found My Everything. So
okay.
The distribution company, and I was like, this is supposed to be called Found My Everything Send. So hopefully it'll be good. But it's not a huge deal if neither of us care. Like it could be My Everything from it, but yeah. But Tolan and I wrote that song together. This was something, I don't wake up in the middle of the night writing duets. I wake up in the middle of the night writing songs, but I don't have like duets in my mind. And this one particular 3 a.m., I started singing this song, and I'm like, is this a duet? And I went to my Nook, which is right there, and I started singing it and writing it, and I could have written the whole thing, but I forced myself to stop, and I'm like, dude, I know we're going to see each other in a few days, we're going to write, but I'm so sorry for waking you up, I'm so sorry. This is a duet, and I really hope you like it. And it's like a Johnny Cash meets Jason Mraz, Kobe Calais. If you please write the rest of this with me, Sam Tolan. So, and yeah, so that's what Got My Everything is. And so it's beachy and it's lovey and it's got ukulele and like, it's just so, I don't have a duet on any of my albums. And I was supposed to have a second duet on this one.
Well, you said you were about to put this one out earlier and you pulled back. How come?
Finances.
Okay.
It just cost more to put out another single versus just adding it to the album. I just wasn't making what I needed to make. And also, with just 11 songs in an album, you don't want to drop 6 singles with an 11-song album. Just keep it at, I should have really kept it at 4, but I was so excited to share that song. So
hell, nowadays you can do all 11. What's the difference?
Yeah, 11 singles, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have, yeah, but no, I'm Alyssa Jacey, and I just do random shit always.
Okay, well, speaking of random shit, again, we've mentioned out of nowhere there comes like some rapping and hip hop. This next song, what are we doing? Now we're going into the reggae world.
What are we doing? That was also written in April of last year. So for those of you who are just checking in on TikTok, hello, I'm just seeing you. You know who Tess Tickle is. She's friends with Mike Hoochie. I do not know who that is, but thank you for asking that, and thank you for joining.
I'd say hi to Mike Coochie too.
Yes, hello. I love the last name, Mike. Hello to Facebook. I know this is a strange look for you. We should do this here. There we go. That's probably better. Okay. So here's another deep look into Alyssa's life. So dial back. Let's go back to April of 2021, where I had a residency at Leonardo DiCaprio's like private uber private resort, and I was hired to play for 3 weeks in a row like a few days after he left, which sucks and was awesome because he left. I don't know what I would have done if I would have met him. But it's like $100,000 a year just to be a member. And it's a beautiful resort. And so my job was to play in front of everyone, like this beautiful restaurant that behind me was either a golf course or the beach. And so during these 3 weeks, I was staying in Kona, Hawaii, and that's where I've been equally as much as Honolulu. And I wrote Choosing Boys there. I wrote multiple songs that didn't make the album, then I wrote this song. So What Are We Doing was written the day before I left. Let's rewind about 2 years prior to that. I was in Hawaii with my ex-husband. I wanted to show him what my life was like when I tour there and how just welcomed I am when I'm there. And so I used to play this hotel, and they put me up for 10 days. I played 3 shows. I did really well, and I would go out with some of my friends who live there and who I've known for about, at that point, 17 years or something. We used to live in San Diego, but they're from Hawaii. And one of my best friends who lives there is like, hey, Alyssa, you need to go like out on this boat, and my friend so-and-so, we'll call him, is the boat captain, and he's gonna take you out to like dolphins and look at whales, and you're gonna have so much fun. And so I went and I met this guy, and he's tall, dark, and handsome, and Hawaiian, and like had the Hawaiian accent, and like very, very attractive guy in a lot of different ways. But I was married, he had a girlfriend. I forgot who he was. Like the second that boat trip was over, I just like out of sight, out of mind, because in my marriage, I was very much like, I just was too in love. I was so in love, as you should be. I feel like when you're married and when you're in love, you need to be like that, or else bad shit's gonna happen.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and we've talked about this. So years pass. Okay, so I go back last April, and I'm with my buddy, and he's like, hey, so guess who's here? I'm like, who? And he's like, my friend who took you out on his boat. I'm like, great. And some guy comes and sits down next to me, and he's like, hi, remember who I am? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't. He's like, I'm Hawaiian name. I took you out on my boat. I'm like, oh my God, how's your girlfriend? He's like, I don't have a girlfriend anymore. And Nick told me that you're divorced. And I'm like, yeah, sweet. And so immediately we started hanging out, but we only had 4 days left until my trip was over. And it was just this immediate connection and energy and synergy and his beauty, and like hung out with his mom. We were out there, like Lanai is a balcony and overlooking the sunset. And we were cooking together, and it's just this beautiful, such a beautiful 4 days. And so the night before I left to go back to Nashville, I wrote this song called What Are We Doing? And it explains that entire short-lived relationship of meeting someone when you're on an island or on vacation and you don't know what's going to happen. It's like, what are we doing? My little heart's been so confused. And by tomorrow, I'm going to be flying high. I wish I could, I don't know what the words are. Something about saying, like, I wish I knew when we'd see each other again, and we got to say goodbye now, but what are we doing? Something like that. So that's what I came from.
So have you been in touch with this person? I want to know about the love story now. Has there been any more contact? Like, what's going on there? Does this guy know there's a song about him now?
Oh, he's so. What I quickly learned was that his head was larger than my house. So when I left, And he knew I was going through what I was going through, like this divorce is taking so long, and like all this shit. And he didn't really ever ask. He didn't ask like, "Are you okay?" or when are the final papers being signed, or like, do you feel safe? Or like, he didn't ask me anything that made me feel like he cared genuinely. So it was a quick turnaround of about 2 weeks when we would speak, and it was all about him. Oh, my surf this, and my boat this, and my life this, and I'm like, okay, no interest in anything further than like a distant kind of friendship.
Yeah.
I think it's a good dude. I wish him well, and he gave me a great song, and so yeah, that's where that ended up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one, Love Doesn't Love. Now this one again, I had a vision.
Okay.
I picture you in a church on an altar singing this one.
Wow. Okay. A church?
Yeah. For some reason, that's what I was envisioning.
Okay, so you guys, this is not written in a church. This was written right there. I have a 2-story house. That's my front door. Big old front room, stairs that go up the 2-bedroom. And then there's this little nook where I do most of my interviews, where you and I interview from, usually where I have a bunch of like posters behind me.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I wrote the song. And I was alone when I was writing it. And I remember singing it really loud because I didn't think anyone could hear me. And then my ex-husband walked in. This is before we separated. And he's like, "What was that? Was that a Chris Stapleton song?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it was." No, that was my song. But who was that about? Nothing. Nobody. Like, just close the laptop now. But it's a blues song, and well, it was a blues song. So I initially intended for it to be written like very Chris Stapleton-y, and then when I heard this song called "Mean" by Madeline the Person, I just changed everything about it, and I turned it into a super pop song. So do you have your phone next to you, or are you on your phone?
Nah, phone right here.
Do you want to pull it up real quick to show people the idea?
What the hell happened to my phone? All right, why can't? Let me restart my phone.
Well, it started with this, like, can I say like a part of it?
Go ahead.
Okay, no. It started like this. Mind, body, and soul, I lost control. Fulfill a trapdoor, can't reason no more. It's taking its toll. Brave, hopeful, and blind. It gets me every time. Refuse to agree, see what they see, ignore the signs. I just played all wrong chords, but that's what the melody is with my voice. So it should have been that. I didn't practice. And I feel like reason more, taking its toll. It gets me every time. Okay, whatever. So you got it. supposed to be like the and it was going to be acoustic and it was going to be chill. And then as we start to record this album, I hear this song for the first time and I'm like, nope, we are changing this song. And we're going to turn this into a pop song where I do all the percussion from my face and body. And so, do you want to play a little bit of it?
My phone is not working right.
Oh, okay. No problem. So, either way, look up Madeline the person. It's called Mean. And I am so big on percussion, so big on drums, where I had so many parts of, I hope, listen to Love Doesn't Love intently, and you'll hear like, and you'll hear, and you'll hear, and you'll hear, like I did at least 5, 6, 7 of those with my mouth. On top of a full drum kit, there are 2 basses, an upright bass and an electric bass. We had so much fun, and then also we dove into. I'm gonna release a video soon of all the stuff that went into the song, where I'm just like pressing buttons on. I don't play piano, so I don't know anything of what I'm doing. But I'm like, oh, I want to hear this, but like I don't want it to be a synth. I don't want it to be a piano. So like, what are the 9,700 other songs we listened to? And we really took our time and made it what it is. And we also, last decision of the song, if anyone knows who Imogen Heap is.
No.
Okay, look up Hide and Seek by Imogen Heap. She was the originator of the vocoder. Cher can pretend like she was, but Imogen Heap has a song called Hide and Seek, and she has this like really cool thing with her voice that changes it, that makes it. It's called a vocoder, and I wanted that on this song, and I didn't know I wanted it until the last day they were recording it. So that's why it was very on the spot. I almost considered calling this album On the Spot Part 2. But it's very, very, very pop. So it started off what would have been a very Chris Stapleton blues song, but turned into an extreme pop song where it's like bass, body percussion meets upright bass, electric bass, which also guitar, which also like drums on my everything, and I'm playing all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't know, and it was so fun. I mean, Logan and I had probably the most fun because it was created from scratch. Like we started from nothing with this.
Wow.
We started over when I decided that I wanted this song to be the song. So I'm like so into it.
That's I love. I mean, for people who the non-musician people or non-recording artist people, they got to be blown away when they hear stuff like that. Like you're making all these different sounds and you're playing drums on your body to get these sounds for these songs.
Yeah, it's so fun. That's why I don't want this to be my last album, because now that I know that I have the ability to do something like that, I want to beatbox the heck out of it. I want to beatbox my entire next album. I want my entire next album to be just all drums. Like that's what I want.
The next song, It's Going to Be Fine, and this is another one of those songs on here that I just go, wow. I mean, what a beautiful song. And this, I'm going to say this too, I think this is an absolute hit. I really do.
I'm very grateful to hear that, because while there are a few other songs on this album that I wouldn't call hits, I would call this one. I wrote it, in my nook up there, I had a friend of mine who was going through a divorce 6 months after mine started, and he was coming to me for advice and solace. And he and his wife had a different story than my husband and I, which was they still loved each other, they weren't sure, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I'm a little, just a little on the different side of that. But I felt for them. I felt because I'm an empath. Like I'm a number 2 for all you like number people, and I just felt so much for them. And so in this evening of hearing their story, I wrote this song called "It's Gonna Be Fine," and I think this is just synonymous for everything that people are going through in life. It's gonna be fine. No matter what, are you going to leave your job or get fired? It's going to be fine. Are you about to lose someone that you really love and care about? It's going to be fine. And do you know what your future holds? No, it's going to be fine. What happens with the relationship you're in? It's going to be fine. So I wrote this song, and for whatever reason, and just told me to send it to Kira. I have one of my really closest girlfriends, Kira Hooks, who I personally feel is one of the best jazz vocalists in the universe. I sent it to her, and she's like, if you record this is again February 2020 when I wrote this. If you record this, please let me sing harmonies on it. And I was like, of course I will. So I did end up recording it. She's singing harmonies. I'm singing harmonies on it with her. And it turned, and then I happened to be watching a movie. I don't remember what it was now, and I hate that I don't remember, but there was a movie that had a song similar to this this was supposed to be just like pure ballad and like so chill. And then I heard this, and I'm like, no, it needs full drums. It needs to build. And so after I heard that movie, I sent the song that I had been inspired by to my co-producer Logan. I was like, can you change the song from like a ballad to like to what it is? And I'm so proud of this song. I think I love it. I love it. And I really feel like, honestly, one of most of all the songs on this album, this is the song that people are going to connect with the most.
That's awesome. It's just an amazing song. Like I went through and I listened to the whole album like 3-4 times, and each time I was just like, on that one especially, I was just like, wow.
Kira, are you watching?
So the next song is, we talked earlier about how people they wanted you to become just a true country artist, or do you consider yourself a country artist? This is probably the one song that I think would put you in the country realm out of any of the songs I truly heard from you. And this is the one that I think would go down that road.
I hear blues and people hear country.
I hear country.
That's fine. Hear country. Hear country. Go ahead and hear country. I don't care. No, it's fine. I think these songs are meant to be what my listeners want them to be. So if you hear country, great. Like if that makes you like it, that makes me happy.
Well, okay, I'm in the wrong because Jeff hears blues.
Oh yeah?
That's what he says down here.
Hey, let me. Can I talk to you?
Talk to me.
You said who hears blues?
One of our viewers, Jeff. He commented.
Can we take some live comments?
Yeah, people, come on, comment, ask questions. We have.
I want every live comment like right now.
Alyssa is amazeballs.
Alyssa is amazable. Thank you. Thank
We have flexible, which I think was it when we were talking about the different styles of music.
Okay, I'm like, I can't flex in this. Can't flex in this. This is a very tight dress. Okay.
So that's them for right now.
Okay, all right. I would love to have live questions like as they pop up or
Yeah.
anything like that. Okay. This is one of those songs where I think people hear the original version, which is what you're hearing now on this album, and it can go one of two ways, which is exactly the same way that Tennessee Whiskey goes: country or blues, country or blues. I Want It to Rain, country or blues. I have purposely tried my hardest to make it not sound country, but because I've lived in Nashville for almost 11 years and I cannot get this country accent out of my mouth, like there's certain vowels that like I say, and like there's like this country accent that like, well, I can't get it out, and I can't stop it. And so when I'm saying, it's like I want it to rhyme, like I mean I kind of get it. I think it's I. I can't say I like a San Diegan, the born and raised San Diego. I want it to rhyme. Wish it were poor. Like I can kind of understand why it might come out like that, but no, my intent was to make it blues, but I don't. It doesn't matter if you like it and you think it's blues, and you think it's country. That's totally fine with me.
Regardless, it's an amazing song and it works. It's Amazeballs.
It's Amazeballs. Someone said my song is Amazeballs. I will totally take that.
And then you close out the album with, I guess, the song that's meant to be the closer, since it closes out your shows, you said, Love Is All You Need.
Yeah.
And I even wrote in my notes, I said I felt this was a great way to close out the album. Before I even knew that was your closing song for your live shows.
Really? Before you listened?
Yeah.
Well, so that was my Third and Lindsley 5 years ago next month song that I was pacing my hallway in my apartment. I need a closing song. And ever since I wrote that song, I've been closing every set with that. And people love it, and thank God, because to me, it just encompasses everything that I am. And I heard a rumor several years ago that you're supposed to end your album with the song that represents you. And like, if this were your last album and this was the last song people were going to hear from you, how would you want to be remembered? Like, it took me 10 albums to get this right, but I think I finally got it. Love Is All You Need, hands down, every lyric, every single part. This is such an intentional song, but not purposely. It's very hard to describe because it came out so naturally and so flowing in easily. But I didn't sit down and be like, okay, it's got to be like this and it's got to be like that, and I have to say this, and love is all you need, and there's a rap. Like I didn't do that. I was pacing when I started singing the song, and it just happened. It just happened. Like most of my songs, they just happen. And I'm very grateful for the song because it is such a crowd pleaser. It is such a set ender on a positive note. And I want people to leave singing it. I want people to leave feeling good. I want people to leave feeling, yeah, love is all I need. Yeah, I'm good. And so and now I've had the acoustic version out for several years, but now I have the full version out as of today. So we've got the full band version, and thank goodness for that. So y'all have 2 different versions to download. Y'all just go dive into everything. Listen, Jacey, on everything.
Go. Now that's you started touching on it as we talked about the last few songs, and you've said, as this is the 10th album, it's going to be your final album. Do you still feel that way? Are you still sticking to that? Could things change? Because as we know, there's a lot more songs that were written, and I'm sure there's a lot more songs inside you. So, what at this very second right now? What are you feeling?
2 weeks ago, I just wrote what I think is one of the best songs in my repertoire. And when and when it comes to the vibe, and when it comes to when you were here, those are songs that I pray get released. It is just so hard as an indie artist to get these songs out. Like, you need crowdfunding. You do, because we don't do anything else other than create. I don't want to make it sound so simplified, because it's not simplified. You wake up and you have a 90 thing list on your brain of, like, okay, the second you wake up, check your texts, check your emails, get back to them. Don't forget to post on all your 14 different social media sites. Put on your hair, put on your makeup, get back to this interview person, make sure your interview is set up. Oh, they canceled on you? Okay, so reschedule for the next one. Make sure all your laptops are charged, which I didn't do today. And don't forget, you have people coming over to construct your leak and make sure your locks are working. And I was looking to trade in my Jeep, and I finally did. And my dad's coming next month. My mom just had double knee surgery last month, and then, there's so much happening. And throughout this last year, to be very, very vulnerable and very honest with you, starting December probably of last year, I really lost my faith in music. I lost my faith in myself. I lost my faith in what my purpose was on this earth outside of inspiring. I knew I was born to inspire. And maybe my new purpose was to inspire people through other things, and I couldn't tell what that was. And then a month ago, it changed. And as of a month ago, I feel refreshed. I feel renewed. I feel like, listen, music's like, you're not going anywhere. Like, I have to be in music. I have to. So that's why I'm I hope people check my website, AlyssaJacey.com. I hope that you watch my live streams on Wednesdays and Fridays, and help me raise the necessary funds to push this album, because I'm almost $6,000 in the hole. I've crowdfunded the entire recording of the album, but now I'm about 6,000 in the promotional aspect of it. So I'm trying this by October 31st to raise at least 5,000 to make up for what I have put out, because I don't do anything else right now. Like, yes, I have my acting auditions, yes, I have but I'm auditioning. I haven't gone to acting auditions since 2018, 19. So if y'all like my music, if you believe in what I'm doing, please go to stageit.com/AlyssaJacey or AlyssaJacey.com, or follow me on Facebook or any of your social media aspects, and you will see on Wednesdays and on Fridays I'm streaming, I'm playing live for you, and I'm trying to raise what I can to push this album, because this is absolutely hands down the most important album to me I've ever released.
And it's an amazing album. It's a very, not only amazing, but like we said, it's a very honest, open, and personal album that needs to be heard.
Very personal. Yeah.
Could you ever? Now, this is like recently in the last few months, friends of mine, people who I've interviewed, who I've become very good friends with, sprung. It's kind of weird. Two different people sprung kind of almost the same exact story on me, but different circumstances, where they, either recorded a whole album or a song or two, didn't tell a soul, just recorded them, and just they're out there. They're in the world of your streaming outlets and your Apple Musics and all that. But they didn't tell nobody, and I'm like, why? Why didn't you say anything? And they said, they were like, my one friend, he was going through, his mom passed away, and he said all these songs just started coming out, and I couldn't stop, and I wanted to record them. And if somebody just happened to come across them and they felt what I was going through and it can help them, that's all it's there for. Because I didn't want to tell anybody about it. I didn't want to do any promotion about it. I just did it for me, and if somebody, it could help somebody. And I was blown away by that. Do you think you'd be able to do something like that?
Well, there are like multiple facets to that. So which part?
Say, like with this, like when you went through your divorce, maybe a song and not say nothing to nobody, just like you've done, you poured your heart out, but just not put it out there. Yeah, I would not be able to do it either. I was so blown away when I was told this. I was just like, no, I'd have to tell the world. I couldn't keep quiet about it.
Oh my God, the song I wrote 2 weeks, like a week and a half ago, and I was doing my stage shows every day in September. I think I wrote it on the 28th. So I played it on the 29th, or I wrote it on the 29th, and I played it on the 30th. And I had my core like Blue Crew fans watching me on stage it. And this is such a personal, it's so telling of exactly what I'm going through, because it's just what I do. And I was like, if you guys, I'll warn you, there's a possibility I'll cry. And they're like, no, of course, like, we love you, play it. And I couldn't, as a double negative, I couldn't not play it. I had to. I was so moved by it. And I hope when people hear that, that's not like an arrogant thing to say. When songs are good and you want to play it for your public, and when songs are not good and you don't want to play it for your public, and that's one that I'm like, oh my God, did I come up with that chorus melody on my own? That's not a co-write melody on the chorus. And it's so realistic. It's so relatable. And I played it without crying. And the second I finished it, I started falling my head. But I don't mind that, because I want people to see that I am a human, that I am very, very just like you, and I will cry and I will share. And
yeah. Is there any of these songs off of this album, since it is so personal, that's tough for you to perform?
Man of God was the hardest, and still is.
Yeah. I can imagine. Well, on that note, AlyssaJacey.com. It is out today, showing up for the world to hear. And like she said, she's going to be doing stages, helping raise more money for promotion and stuff like that. Make sure, go the extra mile, go to Apple Music, pay to download it. Don't just stream it, so she gets 1/8 of a cent.
I need that 1/8 of a cent.
Right? Alyssa, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for all the interviews we've done in the past year. Truly opening your heart up, not only in your music, but to me in these interviews. You're an amazing person, and hopefully someday we'll actually meet, since we're only probably 20 minutes away.
Oh my God, you live that close to me? What's wrong with you? Come to the listening room on Saturday the 15th. I'll put you on the list.
Oh, well, there you go. When's that? Next week.
Write it down.
Write it
10:30
down.
a.m. I'm watching him. 10:30 a.m. You have to wear blue, or else you're not getting in.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't care if you're on my list. You have to put wear blue. Okay, 10:30 a.m. Listening room, October 15th, Saturday.
Boom.
Hey,
Have my blue on. Have my blue on.
You gonna come? You're 20 minutes from me. I will be so upset.
Probably. Yeah. I think I am.
God.
I'm on the other side of the airport.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for having me and listening to my ongoing rants. But I like to talk to you because you give me the opportunity, like you give me the floor to be like, here are all the things.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it should be. Let it out. Let the things out. The same way you let it out in your music, you got to do it in the interview too. Come on. And like you said in the email, you're like, I'm not sure how much time we're gonna have. Who gives a fuck? We have as much time as we need to be able to just talk and express and get the message out.
Yeah.
So there you go. Well, thank you for hanging. Thank you for the music, and I guess I'll see you next weekend.
I'll see you next weekend. And from now on, delete the link that I gave you and only stream from the streams that are out now, so I can get an 8%.
And that's exactly what I did.
Nice. Hey, Ragni, everyone. Hey, I've tagged him in all this and all of this and all of this. So tag, follow. He got great artists on. He's clearly, he knows what he's doing when it comes to interviewing. So please follow him.
Thank you. And the same goes for her. She knows what she's doing when she's writing music, performing music, and talking from the heart.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Red. Never.
I'll talk to you soon, Alyssa.
All right. Bye, Ray.
Take care.
Hey, Ragni. That was like a combination.
People do. A lot of people say, "Oh, your name's Ray Bagni."
Yeah. Bye.